I am not a track photographer. In fact, I just shot my first meet a few weeks ago, but I was able to use my general photography knowledge to get some pretty awesome shots. So I thought I'd put this video together to help anybody looking to get into track photography, or for you weekend warrior moms and dads looking to up your game. One quick note, I will obviously be sharing images in this video, but because most of the subjects are minors and I wasn't able to get in touch with all of the parents for approvals, I will be blurring the kids' faces for obvious privacy reasons. To kick things off, let's talk about gear. Every image that you see in this video was shot on a Sony a7 IV, uncompressed RAW, and I was using a Sony 70-200 G Master Mark I lens. Now, I was shooting with a pretty decent kit, but if you're just getting into photography or if you're just shooting for your local club, then I don't think gear matters too much, but there are some things to consider. When it comes to lenses, my number one recommendation is to use a zoom lens. It will make your life so much easier. Now, can you shoot a track meet using only primes? Absolutely, but you cannot beat the convenience of using a zoom. Now, from what I can tell, track meets typically take place in bright midday sun for the most part. So I don't think that it's absolutely necessary to have a very expensive, fast lens with a really wide aperture. If you had to make a choice between spending more money on a lens that has a wide aperture versus spending money on a lens that has more reach, I would probably go with the lens that has more reach, because with a really long focal length, you can still get some really good compression and bokeh as long as you can get the subject close enough to your lens. However, if you do have the money to spend for a really fast lens with a long reach, then by all means go for it, because it'll really help if you have a track meet at night or even at golden hour. The last thing I want to say about lenses is the focusing speed of the lens is very important. You can imagine in a track meet, the subjects, the athletes are moving super fast. Sometimes they're moving across your frame, sometimes they're moving towards you, sometimes they're moving away from you. And your lens needs to be able to keep up with that. So really pay attention to what kind of focusing motors your lenses have. Now, I shoot Sony, and most of the new Sony lenses come with the XD linear focusing motors, which are really fast, and they have no problems keeping up with the AF system in the Sony bodies. So what you want to stay away from is probably some of those STM focusing motors. Those do really well in like portrait scenarios and stuff, but in my experience, they don't really keep up very well with fast moving subjects. All right, let's move on to camera bodies. Now, I'm going to piggyback off of my last statement about lenses here to kick off the camera body section, and that is get a camera body that has really good autofocus. You're going to need it. Like I said before, the athletes are going to be moving really fast in really unpredictable ways. Well, maybe not unpredictable, but they're going to be moving really fast. So you're going to need that autofocus. And the good thing is that most modern camera bodies from especially Sony and Canon, they do a phenomenal job with autofocus, so I don't think it'll be a problem. Now, the second thing I want to talk about when it comes to camera bodies is that I think APS-C would be a really good option here, especially if you're on a tight budget. The bodies are cheaper, the lenses are cheaper, and on top of that, because you have that crop factor, you're going to get 1.5 times more reach than if you're shooting on a full frame camera, which is a really big benefit to have in track and field. Now, the third point I want to make when it comes to camera bodies is you want something that has a decently fast burst shooting rate. Now, you don't need to be shooting 30 frames per second. That, to me, is just overkill, and it's a total pain in the butt to cull through those photos at the end of the day, because you're going to get 10,000 photos and you're going to have to go through all of them, and I don't have time for that, so I don't want to do that. I recommend getting a camera that can shoot at least 6 to 10 frames per second. I think that'll be good enough for track and field. They're moving fast, but they're not moving so fast that you need to get 30 frames per second. If you're one of the lucky people who is able to afford a really fast lens, then you're also going to want a camera body that has a fast enough shutter speed so that way you don't always have to use an ND filter to bring your exposure down. Now, using ND filters is not that much of a pain, but if you're trying to move around from event to event and the lighting is changing, it can slow you down and it is kind of a nuisance. So if you can, try to find a camera body that shoots at least 1/4000. I'd say if it can go up to 1/8000, then you're good to go. I think you'll be ready for pretty much any scenario. All right, let's talk about camera settings. Now, I'm going to approach this as a Sony user because I shoot Sony, but most modern cameras operate very similarly and have very similar modes, so you should be able to understand what I'm saying despite what camera brand you shoot with. So if your track meet is in the middle of the day and you're shooting in bright sunlight, I suggest using aperture priority mode. I would set your auto ISO minimum shutter speed to about 1/1000 to start with, and then I would set your white balance to auto, and from there you're pretty much good to go. All you have to do now is adjust your aperture to whatever you like, what you want the final image to look like. Now, if your track meet is in the evening or even at nighttime, then I personally would suggest going over to manual mode with auto ISO. So the reason why I say that is because a lot of auto ISO minimum shutter speed settings, they're not very granulated. Like on Sony, it goes, I think, from 1000 to 2000. So I suggest going to manual so that way you have finer control over your shutter speed because you're gonna need every ounce of light you can get. For reference, the image that I'm showing you on the screen right now was shot at f2.8 with an ISO of 12,800 with a shutter speed of 1/800. Don't be afraid of using really high ISO values. I know that 12,800 sounds really scary, but I think the image looks great. I did have to denoise it in post, but it came out looking great. So don't be afraid of high ISO values. It's always way better to get the shot in focus, sharp, and have to denoise it later than to have a blurry mess or something that's so underexposed that you can't recover it. So don't be afraid of high ISO. Modern cameras handle high ISO very, very well. Next up, let's talk about composition, because this is what's really going to set your photos apart from all the others. If you've ever been to a track meet, then you already know that there are hundreds of parents out there and coaches taking pictures with their iPhone. And most likely there are other photographers out there on the field with actual mirrorless cameras or DSLRs. So how are you going to make your photos stand out amongst all of those other photographers? And the answer is with interesting compositions. Here are a few things that I keep in mind when I'm out there on the field. Now, number one is I always try to shoot into the sun. I do this for a few reasons. If you can imagine, if the sun is hitting the subject in the face, it's going to tend to flatten their face out and it's going to really wash it out. If you have the sun behind you, it really helps to keep the depth in your photo. And if you're shooting at golden hour or at sunset, that's how you really get those nice cinematic looking shots. Composition tip number 2 relates to what I was saying about there being tons of parents and coaches out there with iPhones. I'm sure you've all noticed that 99% of the population out there just holds their phone out at like shoulder height and starts taking pictures, right? So my tip is that one of the easiest ways that you can set yourself apart from all those people shooting at shoulder level is to change your height, right? The height that you're shooting from. So I love to get low to the ground and shoot up towards the subjects. It really gives the subjects a more powerful look, right? When you're looking up at the subjects. And conversely, you can even get really high. Now I'm talking like up in the stands and shoot down at the track. It gives a really cool perspective. Now, I don't recommend doing that one often because it takes a really long time to leave the field, walk all the way up the steps and get up there. But it's good for like onesie, twosie types of shots. Now, my third composition tip is more of a general photography tip, and that's to look for interesting foreground and background elements to make your photo just look more interesting, right? Because most of the population out there, when they're taking photos, they're not thinking about that. They're just putting the subject dead center, no foreground, no background, just snap. So one way you can set yourself apart is to have really cool background and foreground elements. And also don't forget to look for leading lines. That could be something as simple as the actual lines on the track, or it could be a railing, anything that will help draw the viewer's eye to the subject of the photo. My fourth composition tip is to time your shots appropriately. Now, obviously, if you had a camera that shot 30 frames per second and you didn't care about having tens of thousands of photos to go through at the end of the day, you don't really have to worry about timing as much because you can just spray and pray, right? You just take all the photos you want, and then eventually you'll get something that you like, right? I don't like to do that because I'm too lazy to go through all those photos, so I like to really time my shots appropriately. Now, this makes a really big difference when you're shooting in midday sun, because you'll have really bright areas of the track and you'll have really dark areas of the track because you're getting really harsh shadows from trees or buildings or whatever it may be. So my tip is, say you have a 100-meter dash and you're shooting the subjects coming towards you. You want to wait until that subject is in the light, not in the shadow. Because in post, you don't want to have to raise the exposure of that runner's face, because then it kind of just flattens the whole image. You're bringing the exposure up to be able to see the runner, but then now it's coming up more towards where your highlights are, and that just flattens the whole image, makes it look more like it came out of a phone. You don't want to do that. So if you can take the image, time it appropriately so that way the runner is in the light, then you're able to preserve the contrast of your image and it'll look 100 times better. Now, my last composition tip is not really a composition tip. It's more of an observation of what I've noticed that people actually like to see. And I found that parents really like when I include more of the lifestyle type photos along with all of the action photos. So while you're out there on the field, don't forget to take candid shots of the athletes. It really helps to capture the camaraderie between the athletes and what it was like kind of being there on the field. And also try not to forget to take, overall images of the setting, of what the meet looked and felt like. It just helps tell a better story, and it helps kind of immerse the viewer into the whole setting and makes them feel like they were out there on the field with you and with the athletes. The last thing I want to talk about is editing, because in my mind, editing is almost as important as composition in terms of making your photos stand out amongst all the other photographers out there. Unfortunately, if I go through my entire editing workflow, this video is going to be 2 hours long, and I don't think you guys want to sit through that. But if you do want to see a separate video about how I edit these photos, then drop a comment down below and let me know, and I will make that. For now, I'll just put some before and after photos on the screen so you can see just how big of a difference it makes.
Don't let me down, I wanna be up, so high. 'Cause I've been down, I've been down, so down, and now I'm done.
Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here, my name is Matt, and I make videos about photography, video, I do gear reviews, all that good stuff. So if you don't want to miss out on any future content, please consider liking and subscribing because it helps me out a lot. Again, my name is Matt, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.